Welcome to another edition of the Boston Sports Brew. Upheld! NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell keeps Tom Brady's suspension at 4 games for his alleged involvement in the deflating of footballs. Are we surprised? As for the other Pats, training camp is around the corner. How prepared do they look to defend their championship crown? And the Flying Hawaiian has been sent to Anaheim. Are the Sox done dealing, or is that a sign of things to come? We'll give you our takes on this edition of the Boston Sports Brew. All right, Mattious. Well, we knew something was coming. This is kind of what I thought was coming no matter what. Some of the details are not what I thought were going to come. That's where I'll start with Tom Brady.
The main thing we're getting out of this report is all about Brady admitting supposedly that, I found this interesting, that every 8 months he totally smashes his phone and gets rid of the SIM card and uses the new phone, which I always thought, if you're a bigwig or you're a Hollywood person, you must have like multiple cell phones, or you do something obviously to keep your life about as private as possible, because you got those rats, the paparazzi, all over you at all times. So this was the new piece of information, and that's the piece of information in the 20-page report that everybody seems to be keen around, that Tom Brady did this 5 days before the Ted Wells report. 5 days before Ted Wells wanted to interview him report-wise, and that's pretty much the justification for Roger Goodell upholding his suspension here. And if he's going to use that logistic, then I'm not surprised that he upheld the suspension at all, because it's pretty much they're both digging in side by side, and this is not going to get resolved until it goes to court.
Well, according to the NFL, in their statement that they made today or Tuesday, Brady destroyed the phone even though he was aware the investigators had requested access to text messages and other electronic information that had been stored on the phone. So if that is true, if he did destroy the phone with that, I'll go through a couple ways with this, because first off, I was going to come on air and I was going to go after the fact that Roger Goodell, first off, I thought this suspension was going to be upheld no matter what, because I believe that Roger Goodell knows this is a business. He's in trouble because everybody hates him right now. He needs people on his side. All of the fans of this world, fans of the NFL, hate the Patriots.
Yep, a poll just came out yesterday.
What is it?
A poll just came out. We're the most hated yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm not surprised. But I didn't even need a poll. I knew this. And so it's actually, I wouldn't even blame Roger Goodell. This is going to be my initial statement. I wasn't going to even blame Roger Goodell. I would blame the fans of the NFL for being ignorant and hating the Patriots just because they're better than all the other teams. That's what I would be blaming, because Roger Goodell, honestly, by doing this, it's good business for him. As much as he may have pissed everybody off, by him suspending Brady, that makes 31 other teams very happy in the NFL and their fans. And even the Giants fans, I've been asking people that all around New York City, and Giants fans hate the Patriots, even though they beat them twice in the Super Bowl since the Patriots have been good. So if the Giants can't have any kind of sympathy for the Patriots, or not, sympathy is not what they need, but just any kind of just not care about the Patriots, if they have to be angry at the Patriots, then everyone's angry at the Patriots. But let's move forward to about an hour ago, and Brady destroying the phone, according to the NFL, destroying the phone when aware that investigators wanted to look at it. That's almost like this Hillary Clinton thing going on with the server. It's still, obviously she didn't destroy the server. She still has the server, but it's a little odd right now that he would destroy his phone, especially even if he were to say he destroys his phone all the time, when he knew that it was going to be asked for this investigation. And I will also say, I also want to go back to this. This is a suspension, and this is a topic about deflating of footballs, which I believe every team does, which makes this so, this infuriates me It infuriates me, but it also infuriates me more because it put Tom Brady in a bad position where possibly maybe he did have to lie. And if that is the case, he had to lie when everyone else was doing it. It's the same thing as Spygate to me. It sickens me. The fans will go crazy. If you want to say it can be proven, that's not true. This can't be proven because no matter what, it can be proved. He blew up his telephone or his cell phone. He's said that, but it cannot be proven still that Brady has had any attempt in telling anybody to deflate footballs before the AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts in January.
Yeah, let's go back to the actual reason why we're talking about this again. Since January, almost my birthday, okay, it's July, almost August, we're still talking about football and air pressure in a freaking football. This is just mind-boggling to me that this story's still going on. I blame both sides. Both sides are the problem for this. Okay, I mean, no one's given in either way or the other. The NFL has this circumstantial piece of crap that Ted Wells. Well, it is kind of like Ted Goodell. Why? Because Roger Goodell is pretty much hired the guy he wanted and framed the Patriots. So you knew the report was going to be awful, but it's all circumstantial evidence. Dictator Goodell wanted Tom Brady to do what every other player does when they make a mistake. He wanted him to admit it, okay? When Ben Roethlisberger in 2010 got charged for or alleged for rape, okay, allegation, he turned around, apologized to Goodell, said he's going to live his life better, and the czar made his suspension go from 6 games to 4. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about him sexually assaulting a female. That his suspension was at 6 games and then down to 4. Sounds familiar to somebody I know. Oh, let's go. Let's keep going. A guy, Greg Hardy, another one. He threw his female, okay, partner or girlfriend on a bed with like 30 or 20, 10 to 30 guns or something, all guns all over the place. Smacked the hell out of her. She doesn't show up to court because he obviously settled with her. And now his suspension gets knocked to 4 games. That number keeps coming up, this 4. So let's look at these 4 games. We have a Goodell knocking down people's suspensions, okay, because of things that involve sexual assault, but we have air in a football staying at 4 games. And the main reason why Brady didn't get knocked down is because he didn't admit anything. You need to admit to this dictator. That's how Goodell is. He's the sheriff. The CBA and the NFLPA, the Players Association, should be ashamed that they actually allowed in their own CBA to have the freaking commissioner be the to be the arbitrator in these types of situations. It's in their contract. No, like, that is preposterous to me. How in God's name can you have the person who pretty much made the rule serve as the arbitrator? Like, that is mind-boggling to me. How stupid can you be? Were all the players in the league like on drugs when they actually agreed to this? Like, seriously? Of course nothing's gonna get changed. Nothing's gonna get changed unless you bow down to Roger Goodell. Brady didn't bow down. Brady didn't bow down. Okay, and he actually, you know what? With this evidence, why didn't Goodell make a suspension anymore? If he actually destroyed his cell phone, if he's destroying his cell phone, if he's lying, why didn't they make the suspension half a year? Why didn't they increase it? Why not? I mean, Goodell, you have this evidence here. You're comparing 4 games for football to sexual assault, and you're comparing 4 games to beating up a girlfriend. But we got air out of a football being 4 games too. And then you got Le'Veon Bell, another thing, his suspension from 3 games. Goodell gave him 1 game because he also apologized and said he's going to change his life around. So his DUI and marijuana charge, which is a criminal offense, not air in a football, his criminal offense went from 3 to 2 games, even though, I mean, they're both misdemeanors. But yeah, DUI is pretty serious where you could, possibly kill someone. I don't think air in a football could kill someone. It's just ridiculous to me. I'm so sick of this BS. I just want this to move on. But you know what? It's not going to move on. Now we're going to court, okay? And it's going to be a fight of circumstantial evidence. The NFL thinks they have a great case. Tom Brady thinks they have a good case. And finally, we're going to get an end conclusion to this. Who the heck knows when? I personally think, just by looking at the schedule, with Brady, we were going to go 3-1. Now I think we're going to go 2-2. I just want this to move on. Like, seriously, can we just start football and not deal with this crap? No. The NFL has had a nightmare the last year with this. Goodell's had a nightmare. He's not making this nightmare go away. He took 36 days to come out with this 20-page report after meeting with Brady. Like, seriously? You're the freaking NFL. It took you 36 days for 20 pages? I just did a project for my grad class. It took me 10 hours to do a 20-page paper. I don't want to hear it. And I got an A on it. So, Roger Goodell, you got lawyers all over the place. They could have done this. They could have been done with this a while ago. It's just ridiculous how this is getting dragged on and dragged on and dragged on. Oh, half a year later, we're still talking about Deflategate. You know what?
Yeah,
like I just said, it's going to keep going because it's going to court.
Well, it's going to court, and, at this point, yeah, Brady's going to it's a bad situation all around, because when you start going after somebody, whatever the fine was supposed to be for a deflated football, if there were deflated footballs, $20,000 fine or something?
Step back for a second. You don't even need to be a Pats fan. Just step back and say, player A, who does something that everybody does in the league, which is deflate footballs or inflate footballs, like Aaron Rodgers said, they all screw around with the footballs, admitted that they did, supposedly did this. So, then you have someone who got a DUI and got charged with marijuana. Then you have someone who allegedly struck his girlfriend. Then you have someone who allegedly raped someone, and they all have pretty much the same amount of games. Just think about that for a second. That is just unbelievable. That's mind-blowing to me. Like, seriously.
I just don't like... Well, it is mind-blowing. It's obviously mind-blowing because if you look at... They're going to keep saying that it's the integrity of the game, and that's the whole point, because all those things have nothing to do with the game of football. All those things have to do with off-the-field incidents.
Oh, you can shove that integrity of the football up your you-know-what. This past season, we had Minnesota Vikings, like, using hand warmers on the sideline. We have Atlanta Falcons pumping crowd noise into the stadium. Oh, because it's not the Patriots, okay? They don't get draft picks taken away and a suspension, okay?
And that's where the fight should be, somewhere over there, exactly. Because it's absolute ridiculous. The ball thing, they obviously were trying to, as you said, it was a sting operation, because this was being heard. They somehow found out about this way before this AFC Championship game and chose to do nothing about it, so much so that they gave the balls back to the guys that they expected that were going to cause these problems before the game. And they didn't even test the footballs to see if they were wrong.
Yes, the NFL
if they were deflated.
The NFL had a piss-poor type of operation when it came to the actual game balls. If they cared so much about the game balls, they would have actually had a good system. Oh, no, now that this happened, this upcoming year, we're going to do random ball testing. Like, are you absolutely kidding me? You're going to do random ball testing, all right?
I wonder if there's anything illegal or something in the rule books of the commissioner trying to set up a team like that. Because, all these teams going out there, if they knew something like that, they should have said, hey, don't do that. This is a huge game, da-da-da, integrity of the league, blah, blah, blah. They didn't do anything. They let this happen, supposedly happen, and now that we're sitting here and they're suspending them, and it happens to be the team that everybody in this league hates, after a commissioner who has been pretty much grilled all season long for all of his mishaps and for all the things he did, with all the suspensions that he didn't give out or did give out or whatever the hell, all his mistakes. And now he's getting, like I said before, the ability to suspend someone on the team that's hated the most by all the fans of his business, which can once again put him in a better light. A sting operation, I don't know if there's anything against that in this league, but I would look into that. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say anything about that.
Please don't use the word business anymore. It's an empire. He's the emperor. And he has an empire, okay? And in his empire, his little minions of owners are not going to get rid of him because he's bringing in millions and millions of dollars. Like Bob Kraft bowing down. Good move, Bob Kraft. Not. Like, seriously? You bow down like after all after all this circumstantial crap? No, he bowed down because he likes to make his millions. That's exactly why he did it. He just wanted this to disappear. He even said, we're gonna take these ruin even while we disagree with them. So he's not admitting they did anything wrong, but he's bowing down to them because Bob Kraft likes his money, just like anybody likes his money.
Well, look, so now we move forward or move ahead, and once again, it's sad because if Brady did deflate balls, then or obviously had any point, any saying in the deflation of footballs, it's just something that everybody else does. All these quarterbacks know it. Other people have come out and said stuff, and everyone's talked about Aaron Rodgers has been one of the popular ones saying he likes his footballs overinflated. And that means you're singling out one team, one person, and it just so happens to be the team you hate. But moving forward, I can see why Brady would be pissed off and why he wants to clear his name when everybody else is doing it, but he can't be like a rat and sit there and go say, hey, guess what? All these other guys, get them investigated and do that, because no one likes rats.
Yeah, and I mean,
so what do you got to do? Brady's got to take it and be this he's got to feel partly guilty. It's a bad situation for Brady, because if he's guilty of what they're saying, it's such a stupid thing to be guilty of. But at the same point, while he's guilty, he knows everyone else is guilty too, but he can't be a rat. So now he's got to go down and take this stupid 4-game suspension or clear his name. Like, he loses either way, really. And I don't know how his conscience, like how he handles this within himself, because he knows he's not doing anything wrong by the letter of the game. There's certain things that people do, unwritten rules. People, unwritten rules. And right here's an unwritten one. If everybody is freaking deflating air or putting air in a football before games, then it's an unwritten rule that it's okay. And it obviously was okay, unless it was a sting operation, if the damn league didn't do anything before the AFC Championship game.
I'm now reading a statement from Tom Brady's agent, Don Yee, who's come out and said that they're pretty much not surprised by the appeal process. He's still adamantly denying that Brady did anything wrong. The appeal process was a sham, resulting in the commissioner rubber stamping his own decision. Pretty much what Mattious, myself, has been saying. So now you got Brady's agent firing back, which isn't surprising. This is exactly what's been going on the entire thing. This thing's not going to end until it reaches court. We should have all seen this. We all pretty much thought this was coming. I was laughing left and right when it was saying NFL and NFLPA trying to come to a conclusion with Brady. I was like, no freaking way. Roger Goodell, like you said, Droz, bring up a valid point that I was trying to get everybody on his side because everyone hates the Patriots. And you have the Patriots with Tom Brady deny. What is he going to magically just say, oh, no, I'll take the suspension now. I'll only take 2 games. No, this is the dogfight. They've dug in the trenches, and it's not going to end until some type of court procedure happens, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, the NFLPA is already filed, so I have not had enough time to look up to see whether or not that affects the player stature for Brady when it comes to football. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we can actually talk about some football sooner or later in about a month and 15 days or so, when the Patriots will be in the season opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. So I will definitely have to look into that to see if this the federal court procedure that goes through does affect his game stature or not. But yeah, believe it or not, sooner or later we'll actually be back to talking football, talking sports here at the Boston Sports Brew.
Well, and hopefully at some point, what I guess is supposedly going to happen is this: there is a chance that Brady, going through this lawsuit that he's going to go ahead with. I was listening to Roger Goodell on ESPN. He's a legal analyst for them. And Cossack said they need to get some kind of injunction from the judge, which essentially means that Brady needs to prove to the judge that he is innocent before they even have the judge will even try the case. So if he can do that, then the case will be on, and at which point Brady could play football. While that case is going on, because that would then say that you'd have to delay the suspension. I've also heard, though, that if that were to happen, and then the decision were to go or not to go in Brady's favor, then Brady would, have to serve the suspension whenever that time came up. So, but I have to say, I don't think they can prove Brady's wrong. I still don't think, unless they think that destroying the cell phone, they could say destroying evidence. But if Don Yee is right, which you just read, Mattious, with the idea that they handed over, which they did, it's already been said that he's handed over enough electronic communication between other people that he just didn't give over his phone to Ted Wells and his people. So it's not like he gave away nothing. If they'd, I don't see anything still concrete from anybody that said that proves that Brady told Yastrzemski and McNally to deflate those damn footballs.
No, you're right. Back to the whole premise of this argument that 250 days or whatever that had garbage. What came out about Brady destroying his phone looks worse. I will admit it, even as a Pats fan, that is more demon than anything in that stupid report. And I'm serious with that statement. Somebody destroying a phone compared to this circumstantial evidence crap, it's two totally different things. I mean, Brady looks more guilty now than ever, and that's why I said, if this is the case, why didn't Goodell say, no, we're going to suspend you for the year, or we're going to add even more games on because you have done something that makes you look even more guiltier than we thought you were before. So back to all this, it's just
But why? What is your reasoning for that? Why? I don't even see. I have no answer to that. Why would Goodell not suspend him longer?
I don't, because the NFL's a joke.
Yeah, but that doesn't even make any sense. Like,
it does.
I guess that would be the only thing. It's blasphemy.
They are.
It's complete blasphemy.
Droz, they're so incompetent there in Park Avenue, New York. They really are. It's amazing how stupid this league is. It really is. They cannot come up with any decision. Any decision that happens with suspensions or anything like that, there's always somebody arguing. Nothing's set in stone. Somebody's case with the same amount of thing that happens, they might have their suspension go down a couple games. The other person might have the suspension stay the same. I mean, there's no continuity there. It's just whoever bows down to the emperor gets the better treatment. It really is. Yeah. And in this case, whether or not Brady's guilty or not, you can say whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want. And looking at this, it's just crazy how it's still going on here on July 28th, like 6 months later. We're talking about that every single quarterback in the NFL did. It's a sting operation. I will say it since day one. I have been saying it since day one. It's BS, period.
Exactly, and that's why quarterbacks like Colin Kaepernick came out and said, it's ridiculous what you do to Tom Brady.
Of course. You notice how all these quarterbacks, none of them are really saying too much about it because they all do it.
And it's so annoying, and that's the point when you become the one guy that gets picked on about something, especially when it's a league looking to actually get you, like is trying to catch you. They're not trying to catch anybody else. They want Tom Brady. They want the Patriots more than anything, but they'll take Tom Brady because that's the head of the Patriots, essentially, at least on the field. So they're going to go after him, and they don't go after anybody else. And as a Patriots fan, that's infuriating. And also, as Tom Brady, that's be infuriating. And the rest of them aren't going to stand up and say anything because they don't know what to do. The only way that this would work, the best thing that could possibly happen, which will never happen, is that every quarterback comes up and goes, hey, guess what? We all do this. Eat crap, Roger Goodell. And at which point, if that happened, then I think Brady could flip back and actually say, hey, guess what? I did whatever, and I had to fight for myself because obviously no one was going to say anything, and it's not fair that everybody came down on me when everybody in the damn league was doing it.
See, I'll agree with you everything into that last part. Tom Brady's not going to come out and keep saying what he's saying and then do a total 180. I never will see him doing that. So I think he's going to stick to this, whether it's truthful or not. It would look awful if he actually did that. He's been lying all along. And whether or not you believe he's lying or not, that's not the premise of the argument here. He is going to stick to what he's sticking with now. So who knows, man?
And you know what? There's still a great possibility that he could have just been afraid that whatever maybe he does tell them to make sure those damn balls are at 12.5, and maybe those balls can end up sometimes below 12.5 because of air pressure, and maybe he felt that would have been enough evidence, and they would have started a whole shebang on himself if he would have let them see the cell phone. Even just by not telling them to actually put the balls under 12.5, but by just telling them to put it at 12.5, that could be a problem. So maybe that's true too. And if that's the truth, then I'm sorry, Tom Brady. Obviously I don't know answers to this. It doesn't look good when you destroy a cell phone, but that's also a possibility as well. So there's just too many possibilities, which is why in court, there is nothing that can put Tom Brady under. He should win in court.
Yeah.
So
if he goes on their oath,
I don't see how he can.
Yeah, if he goes under oath and says these things, then if he loses, he's pretty much lying. He's perjury in part. So it's really gonna.
Barry Bonds just got off. If Barry Bonds got off, Tom Brady's getting off.
Yeah, whether or not you think he's guilty or not, and yeah, this doesn't look good. I will keep saying that it doesn't look good. If you came up to me and explained this entire story, it probably looks better when it comes to the NFL side, when it comes to him breaking a phone. But if he actually does this, it just turns back to this circumstantial case of garbage of the Ted Wells report. It really turns back to that, where there is no proof whatsoever of that going on. So even if Brady was found guilty, I still don't think this amount of games that he got fits the crime compared to those crimes that I gave our listeners and yourself earlier on the show. It's just,
obviously
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Anybody with a straight mind knows that. To go from whatever that, like I said, I don't know, $20,000 fine to a 4-game suspension is ridiculous. And he loses like $1.8 million in pay for those games, which that's the most irrelevant point of it all. Money's not the issue. In the end, it's just the fact that Brady is going to sit here right now, possibly miss games. I honestly don't think he's going to miss a game. I don't think he's going to miss a game. I think he'll be back. But my question then would be, moving forward, if for some reason Tom Brady can't come back, who should start those football games? Should it be Matt Flynn or Jimmy Garoppolo? And then to even add on to that, Mattious, would you think Belichick will choose Matt Flynn or Garoppolo? Because your choice and Belichick's choice. What do you think?
I like to make predictions. You know me, Droz. I love making my predictions. But even for me, I have no idea, because camp hasn't even opened up yet. I can't base anything, okay, on any decision that I made. If you had to point a gun to my head and make me choose one or the other, I would just say Garoppolo, because he's more familiar with the system. They don't bring a lot of quarterbacks in here for a reason. Garoppolo has shown a couple glimpses of he can actually run this offense, and he has some zip on the ball. So I think he'd be the leader in the clubhouse if I had to pick somebody right now. I think Flynn's here more as an insurance cause if I had to take a guess, but we're going to see. Both those guys are going to get reps now that this decision has been made, probably a little bit more than you would normally see. So I don't know, Droz. I can't give you a definitive answer, but if I had to make a decision, I would say Garoppolo.
And I actually threw that out there wondering if you'd say Matt Flynn, but I completely agree, and I think you can go with precedent on this. You can go back to 2008 when there was when Brady went down with the torn knee, and Belichick, you kept hearing things about, because Castle had come in, and Castle hadn't even played a game since high school at that point, or started a football game since high school, but he'd been in the Patriots system for a couple years, longer than Garoppolo. And they were like, Mark Bolger. They were thinking about getting Mark Bolger in here. One of the Giants quarterbacks, Sean Hill. Was it Sean Hill? Well, I forget. It was one, not the Giants, the 49ers. But they had a couple veteran quarterbacks that they wanted to possibly bring in. And I remember even myself at one point thinking Bolger would be pretty good. But they stood true with Castle, and Castle didn't look good at first, but he slowly developed into a pretty solid quarterback for that season, good enough for him to get a huge contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know Scott Pioli went there and still contracts with the Bills now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the way Belichick is, he seems to be one of those guys that if you have been in the system, you are going to be ahead on the depth chart.
But this is my question with that situation. The only reason why I would think that Belichick might feel a little differently is that Castle had a couple years, and I don't know exactly how many years Castle was in the system before he got to start in 2008, but it was definitely more than one. And Garoppolo has only had 1 year as a backup. Second year in the league. That's the only thing. I think Belichick knows the idea, and Brady, I guess, came in his second year, but there's not many Tom Brady's out there. We all know that. So is Garoppolo really going to be ready to be thrown into the fire in year 2? Is that too quick? It's better than year 1. I'd be nervous for Garoppolo. I don't. Me personally, I think they might take Flynn in this situation only because they would want to protect Garoppolo. I think Belichick's smart enough and he looks long-term on many decisions. And
I disagree with that and the only reason why I say that is if you draft a quarterback in the second round, okay, that tells you something. So I do think they have confidence in him. I don't think playing him is going to do anything to Garoppolo's future compared to like bringing up a minor league baseball player a little bit too early. They say that might destroy his future. I don't think him playing here in these 4 games is going to destroy his future. And
I disagree. It could. Aaron Rodgers is a perfect example. I mean, when Brett Favre, he got picked in the first round for gosh sakes. And when Brett Favre was the quarterback, his first year, Rodgers looked like crap in backup duty when he came in. Second year, Rodgers looked a little better when he came in backup duty. Third year, they came in against the Cowboys. It was the year that Green Bay made the NFC Championship game. It ended up being Favre's last year. Dallas ended up with the number 1 seed that year, but got upset by the Giants in the playoffs. Rodgers looked fantastic when Favre went down in that game.
Yeah,
they lost. But he progressed every year. I'm not saying they don't have confidence in Garoppolo. I'm saying that maybe he needs a little more time. And to do so, you put in a veteran like Flynn. You might even give some games up, lose some games possibly, or at least, have to play some really close ones with running the ball control games.
And Garoppolo can't
just
do that?
To protect Garoppolo.
Garoppolo can't do that? He can't run a run-controlled type of game?
He could, but he might throw a pick when it doesn't count.
The Patriots' offense is totally different than Mike McCarthy's offense or in Green Bay. That's a gunslinger type of offense. They run 3 wide all the time. That's not the way the Patriots work. They can easily run an offense with McDaniels there. I mean, just like Brady did when Brady first came in. Brady wasn't gunning the ball downfield. It was dink and dunk, running these screenplays. They still have that in the playbook. That's exactly the same type of thing they would do if Garoppolo was there. There's no chance in hell Garoppolo would be slinging the ball down the field. There's no way in hell. You know how much Belichick values the ball more than anyone. We all know that. So I think he would be perfectly fine having that conservative type of playbook, and he probably knows just 1 year after being there, you do not make turnovers on this team. And if you do, your butt is going to be on the bench so fast it's going to make your head spin.
Well, that's the thing, and that's the only thing. So it would come down to, and I'm with you. I think they would take the guy who's been in the system longer. I'm actually saying it's because he's been in the system longer, not because of the fact that he's the quarterback of the future.
Yeah,
but because he's been in the system longer, that's why I would say he would start Garoppolo. But Garoppolo, if you were to come in, if Belichick does believe he's going to make mistakes and not listen to all those stuff, I don't know what kind of guy Garoppolo is. I mean, we don't really know that much about Jimmy Garoppolo, besides he's Italian.
No, but true, I agree. But when you draft,
and he went to Eastern Illinois.
If you draft somebody that high, it's probably it's probably smart to say that you probably see a future with this guy. I mean, Belichick, no idiot, though. He understands that at any one time, any one play, your quarterback could be gone. So you definitely need somebody better than a serviceable game manager back there. But for 4 games, I think Garoppolo could definitely serve as that guy. I'll go back to the beginning of this conversation. I'm just saying that now. Now, if I on, and I don't value a lot in preseason, but I mean, it is what it is. It's football games. If he's out there looking like a total goof and Matt Flynn is looking better in the offense, that changes my opinion. Of course it does, especially if he's playing against starters in like the first or second quarter in games number 2 and 3, which seems to happen. I mean, the starters seem to have that game 3 type of mentality for most teams where they play the first half kind of like it's a normal football game. Out of all the preseason games, that game number 3 is the most important one. So I value that one more than anything. And if he's looking terrible, yeah, I'll change my mind. But as of right now, it's really hard to base anything. I mean, Matt Flynn's not special, but I think Garoppolo understands already that you don't make mistakes, and they can dumb down the offense for this guy. It does suck that LeGarrette Blount will miss the first game, but you easily have enough playmakers on that Patriots offense that Garoppolo could use in order to win that game.
I would agree. If he does it properly, he can, for sure.
Excuse me, not games.
Games. Well, but I think the same could be said with Matt Flynn in there as well. So, I mean, it would just come down. Also, the fact that if Brady's just going to be popping right back in there, do they really want to put Garoppolo out there when Brady's going to come back and Brady says he wants to play all these years? Then it comes down to how long do they expect to have Tom Brady with the Patriots? And I think that they're going to want him. I forget what the contract's at right now. How many more years does he have?
Who, Brady?
Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady, I thought had
I think he's got at least 3 years, 2 more years after this.
Yeah, he signed a good deal. I remember it was really it wasn't really a big deal, and he signed all the way to 2017. So he's an unrestricted free agent when he turns 40. So that he's 37 now. So yeah, 3 more years. So this year, next year, and then 2017. But I mean, back to Flynn. I thought I heard that he was placed on some type of injury list today, if I'm not mistaken. I swear I thought I heard that.
And he may have been. I haven't seen anything on Matt Flynn, any updates on Matt Flynn.
The only reason why is because the Brady thing came out, and then I swear I thought I saw something with Flynn's name being placed on some type of injury list. I don't know if it's some BS list in order for him to cover up a spot that, they might want to work somebody out during training camp, so I'm not sure.
Well, look, I think, once again, I'll just go back to what I said in the first place. I don't think Tom Brady's missing a single game. I think he will play. I don't think there's any way that this can be proven. I think the injunction, or whatever it's called, his proof to the court that he is not guilty, I think he'll be able to prove it to a judge. And I think that Brady comes in week 1 and plays throughout the season, is found not guilty, and that's the end of it. But
he's on the non-football injury list. All right, so who the heck knows what's going on with him?
God knows what that means. Enough of these quarterbacks at this point. We obviously have to talk about Tom Brady in this, because this is huge news. But what about the rest of the team, Matt? It's like, what is your most intriguing position battles right now with the Pats?
I mean, the rest of the team is a little bit different. Sitting here a couple of years ago watching that Broncos game, and me sitting here saying they're going to be back in the Super Bowl next year and then they're going to win it. And I understand. I know everybody shoved it in my face. I predicted they lose to the Seahawks. I should have just stuck with my guns.
Final day.
I went against, the final day. Like, who does that? I always tell my students, go with your gut. I didn't go with my gut. I don't know what the heck I was doing, but we know what happened in that game. So I can live with it. But going into this year, it's just it's defense in the secondary draws. It's the same thing that we've been dealing with, not winning a Super Bowl, and we went right back to our habit. We release our top 4 corners, not our top 2, our top 4. Revis, goodbye. Brandon Browner, goodbye. Arrington, goodbye. Dennard, goodbye. So I think the battles are going to be on that side. All right, there's going to be battles all over the place. I mean, the wide receivers are pretty much set. Minus, is Aaron Dobson going to make the team or not? The running backs are going to be battling. Belichick doesn't like running backs. He's just going to interchangeably use those guys. The offensive line with Conley retiring out of the middle of nowhere, I think, is going to throw some battles between the rookies Jackson, Trey Jackson, the guy from Florida State, and I can't think of the other guy. Shaq Mason, the guy from Georgia Tech. You got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar, Georgia Tech is a very run-heavy option type of offense, not a pro offense. So I'm going to put the battle more on Trey Jackson's side that he might get a starting job. But on the defensive side of the ball, the linebackers are pretty set with Mayo coming back. It's going to be the secondary where you have a cluster something of cornerbacks, and the defensive line, the interior part with like Allen Branch, Saliga, Easley, the rookie last year, and then you got the rookie Brown that they drafted. And that's what Belichick likes. He likes battles. So there are going to be a lot of battles all over the place, Droz, but the most important battles are going to be the cornerbacks, period. Nobody can disagree with that argument.
No, and from what I'm gathering, the listed starter at this rate is Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan's going to be the number 2 cornerback from what I'm seeing, which I'm a little surprised with. I don't know. I saw that the other day. But if Logan Ryan's the number 2, now I loved Logan Ryan when he first came in, but to catapult him all the way up the depth chart to number 2 and suddenly needing him to start, I'm not quite sure. Now, maybe he can turn around. Maybe his confidence can come back. It's like Brad Lidge with closing out baseball games. He was great until Albert Pujols hit one in the NLCS off him, and then he was wild for 2 years until he saved every game in a row for the Phillies on their way to winning a World Series. So, I guess you can come and go with your mindset, but Logan has not looked like the Wolverine, like I like to call him. He's looked more just like a sad chihuahua left out in the rain, and I don't know. I'm a little worried. I am worried at corner just because they've had problems at corners for what seems to be so long. They always seem to have problems at corner ever since. I mean, Asante Samuel I thought was overrated, but ever really since he left, I mean, we've had Sterling Moore floating around and just a bunch of random guys.
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of schmoes off the street. And here we go again with a bunch of schmoes off the street. I mean, you got Logan Ryan. Some depth charts are showing him, like you said, Droz, as being one of the starters. I've seen them possibly with Justin Green, the guy from Dallas that they just randomly picked off the waiver wire. Then you got Malcolm Butler, Bradley Fletcher, who started in Philly but was getting smoked by everybody. They sat his butt. They just picked up that guy Brown who used to be on the 49ers. So it's like they're trying to get all these – it's like equivalent to the Red Sox, trying to get all these number 3s and 4 starters, and they're trying to make them like actually somehow work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we know how that has worked for the Boston Red Sox this year. So hopefully it's not the same for the Patriots. And if that's the case, you're really going to need those guys up front to get pressure. So the only good thing is the Patriots did go out and get some guys. They got Malcolm Brown, who is that defensive tackle from Texas, who they drafted in the first round to supplement the other defensive tackles, such as the re-signing of Allen Branch in Saliga. You got Jabal Sheard coming over from Cleveland, who can rush the passer. Jamie Collins is going to keep getting better and better. And Hightower, so much more versatile now because of the Mayo injuries, that they are really going to, and don't forget about the rookies Flowers and Grissom that they got in the draft. But back to my main point, they're really going to have to get pressure from the quarterback up front. Patriots have been struggling with that for years, I feel like, and finally having those cornerbacks back there last year, it's more confidence, obviously, having those guys back there because they can actually cover someone. Logan Ryan can't look like a chihuahua anymore. Okay, Malcolm Butler, not Brown, is gonna have to make more plays than just that play in the Super Bowl. I mean, I will love Malcolm Butler even if he flamed out because he won us the Super Bowl with that play. But you got to work on and keep grinding now. It's a different season. We don't really know what we have from that guy, undrafted guy. So throwing all these guys together, there's going to be so many guys in that training camp. I heard good things from Dell Roberts. He was a 7th-round pick from Marshall. Another guy that probably will make the roster because Belichick loves his late round / undrafted players. That's going to be the main battle, in my opinion, out there, besides maybe that offensive line battle. And the offensive line is going to be important because they had their ups and downs last year, depending on who was in there. Conley is really, really underrated. I don't blame him for retiring. We all know about the injuries that can happen in football. He has his money. He probably spent it wise. He's got his ring now. He's played for a while, but you saw the statistics show last year that continuity with those 5 guys before the Chiefs game, before everybody was calling the Patriots pretty much dead. That same group of guys played, and the line looked great, and voila, Super Bowl.
Exactly, and I think the line can come together, and you bring up a point with Trey Jackson. Trey Jackson, Florida State, Brian Stork, Florida State, they played together before. They both, Stork, rookie last year.
Yeah, it's a pro offense, so it's great.
And Stork looked great. So I do like that a lot. I think the offensive line, you still have I always call him not Volmer.
Yeah, we got Volmer, we got Soldier. Those two big.
Solder.
Yeah.
I always call Solder Mankins for whatever reason. I don't know why. But, yeah, Solder's still around. You still have Volmer. Now, once again, Trey Jackson. You got Josh Klein, who played pretty well. I think the team, the offensive line should be fine. But once again, you're right. Continuity is the key. You have to go out with the same line over and over again. The one other interesting thing for the Patriots to start off the season without Brady is we know how much Belichick emphasizes the end of the season and trying to play the best when November, December comes around. That's when he wants his teams playing the best. And at the beginning of the season, even last season, with the offensive line, you saw he kept trying different combinations on the offensive line to see what would work. And Jordan Devey was in there, and he was horrible.
Terrible. Oh, atrocious.
Yeah,
that's just but the only.
But that's the whole thing.
That's
the continuity in the first couple games. If that's not there, and then you got Garoppolo in there, I mean that could be rough too. I know they could run the ball, they can dink and dunk, but even then, if there's just confusion everywhere, because a lot of the keys to the dinking and dunking are the linemen getting upfield and blocking. And if we have a bunch of confusion going on, I know Volmer and Solder can handle their parts, but I don't know. I don't know who Belichick wants to fling in there, and we don't have Dante Scarnecchia around any longer. I know he's been helping in the offseason find players, which is great, but there still should be a little bit of worry, especially at the beginning of the season. I would worry less at the end of the season with the offensive line.
Yeah, I'm not really worried that Dante Scarnecchia is not roaming around because he probably is still around there every now and then. And the new line coach that they got last year seemed to fit in pretty well by finding the right combination. So kudos to him. But it's going to be important that line is playing well, because if they're not at the beginning, Brady is smart enough not to make stupid throws. That's the only thing that I worry about Garoppolo. If that line's not clicking, yeah, that could be an issue. Looking at the Patriots' schedule, those 4 games, at home Pittsburgh, at Buffalo, Jacksonville, and then I think they go on a bye week 4, if I'm not mistaken. And then they
do go on a bye, and then it's Dallas.
Absolutely atrocious.
That sucks.
Yeah, seriously. Who does that? Who gives the NFL shouldn't even have buys that early in the year.
That's what I was gonna say. There shouldn't even be buys in week 4. Why do you need a buy that quick into the season? Player safety, you should talk about that or something.
They don't care about player safety. They want to expand it to 18 games, and they want to have teams all over the world because Roger Goodell's enough about him. But anyways, back to that schedule. Just looking at it, like I said earlier, I thought they were going to go 3-1. You look at this now, I think 2-2. With the possibility of maybe even going 1-3. I thought that they would win the first 3, and then that Dallas game, I think Dallas is going to be really up for that. The game that I see them possibly losing now is going to be the one on the road against the Bills. The Bills are going to treat that like a playoff game. You have Sexy Rexy, who's going to be treating it like the Super Bowl. They'll probably win. They'll probably win that game. He's going to go jump out of a plane again or something because they won that game. They're going to think they won the Super Bowl. And that's fine because it's only week 2, but that's just the Bills. And then the Bills will probably choke later in the year. But the Bills are much better on paper. They have a really, really good defense. I think it's going to be a hell of a game anytime, even if Brady was there against a divisional opponent. But with Garoppolo there and at Buffalo, them probably treating it like it's like the Super Bowl, I think they're going to end up losing that game now. So if you had to tell me now, I'd say 2-2 with Garoppolo. But who knows? We don't know. If Brady comes back and wins in court, then my opinion obviously changes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the division in itself, the NFC East, the AFC East, excuse me, the Miami Dolphins, the Bills, the Jets, all have very good defenses, and all should be are all scary. And all those games are going to be tough. Very tough this year. I always say that divisional games are tough, but this year they're going to be extremely tough because I think these teams are that much better, especially on defense. You got Todd Bowles, who's an ex-cornerback. He's out there coaching the Jets now. So you got a defensive coach there. Plus, they got all their cornerbacks back. They got Cromartie and Revis. You got and their interior line is strong as can be. You got Buffalo sitting there. They are just beasts inside. I think they may have led the league in sacks last season. And then you got Miami, who brought in Ndamukong Suh, who's just going to open up things for Cameron Wake. It really, all three, when it comes to defense, all three are going to be great, I think. And from a pass rushing standpoint, I mean, Miami and Buffalo especially, really scary. So
yeah,
if you throw
sorry, Droz,
Brady in there. No, you throw even Brady in there, it's going to be tough, especially if we're flummoxing with our messing with our offensive line, because I mean, it doesn't matter who's back there. If you don't have time to set your feet, then you're going to get hit if you're the quarterback. I mean, Brady's not quick enough. Garoppolo has a little more speed. Maybe you can duck under some, but you can only do it for so long. So I think that game against the Bills will be tough early in the season, no matter what.
Yeah, the division as itself has, I know we've been supreme being, but they've sucked. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but not a lot of playoff appearances by any other teams in the division. But looking at the Jets 4-12 last year, Miami 8-8, and Buffalo 9-7, you could put an argument that all three of those teams got better in the offseason, and we got worse. There's no way you can tell me as a Patriots fan right now and tell me that we got better. No, we didn't. We didn't get better. We lost Darrelle Revis. We lost one of the top 3 cornerbacks in the league, who showed last year that he still is one of the top 3 cornerbacks in the league. Okay, time will catch up with him sooner or later. Looked fine to me last year. All right, so yeah, those guys got better. We got worse. Has the gap closed? I mean, the gap's been about at 3 or 4 games. And with no Brady, yeah, damn right it's going to close. All right, so it's going to be a struggle. The Bills have more. They got LaShawn McCoy, a sexy name on offense now. I mean, goodbye Spiller, hello McCoy. They got Sammy Watkins, a great receiver. They still don't have a quarterback, though, so they don't really worry me too much. Until they get a quarterback, then I have an issue. Miami has the quarterback. They get Sue. I actually think Miami is 1 game or so better than the Bills. I still think the Jets suck. Their defense is good, but show me something, Geno Smith. And I mean, who's going to run the ball? Yeah, they got Brandon Marshall, but Brandon Marshall's getting older. And if you don't have a guy running the ball, and if you got Geno Smith flinging the ball around like a moron again, that's not going to really do anything. All right. So,
and we saw Brandon Marshall in Miami when he didn't have a quarterback. He had Chad Henne, and he didn't look like anything. So
exactly.
And that was when he was younger.
Exactly. When he was younger, he was more healthy. Last season, he was on my fantasy team, and he was out every now and then, and he sucked. Yeah,
and that, I mean, well, Cutler was partly to blame for that as well. But yeah, I mean, Marshall had a down year, and when you throw him in with a quarterback who, like I said, million times to a million Jet fans out here in New York City, you should have sat him the first year. I don't care who the hell he had to sit behind. He wasn't ready. Everybody was saying it before the year started. People were saying it before the draft, for gosh sakes.
Yeah, they threw him in a situation, and they gave him absolutely nothing for weapons. So it's kind of equivalent to, I wonder, it's not equivalent to, but I'm curious to see how Jimmy Garoppolo would have done if he was thrown in the same situation as Geno Smith, compared to Geno Smith coming in here thrown into the same situation as Jimmy Garoppolo maybe in year 2. who knows? I mean, if I look at quarterbacks right now, maybe I'm just being biased, but I'd rather have Garoppolo than Smith in the long term. Maybe that's just me because I've already seen Smith, and Smith just makes way too many stupid decisions when he's out there when it comes to slinging the ball. NFL is huge when it comes to turnovers. You have to value the ball. So many games are a loss on plus minus. I'm with Belichick on this. That's like my biggest pet peeve. If I was a coach, it would be turnovers. It really would. I'd be the same type of person he is when it comes to sticklers. I know Ridley's our buddy, not anymore, but I would be the same type of way. You got to hang on to the football. You have to.
And Ridley Ridley looked pretty good. Last season, I don't think he had any fumbling issues. He just got hurt, and so that was the end of Ridley. But yeah, the whole thing with Ridley, if he even came close, if he fumbled the ball and even the Patriots recovered, he was out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean,
he was out of the game.
Ridley got signed by the Jets, so we'll see if he ends up winning the backfield. There's a lot of guys in the Jets. I remember they signed Zach Stacy too. So between Stacy, I still think they have Ivory and Powell. So that's going to be a pretty big battle with somebody probably end up getting released because they're unhappy and they want to go elsewhere to get some playing time. So it's going to be interesting. And I mean, I know we've done a lot of football here, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Boston Sports Brew, but we're going to segue on before we break next week and talk a little bit about these Red Sox. Yesterday, trading Shane Victorino to the Angels, who I don't think Victorino is going to really provide them with that much besides depth. That's just my opinion. We're talking about a guy who's been injured on and off throughout his time here in Boston. He had one of the most important hits, that grand slam against the Detroit Tigers. So with that being said, I understand Victorino getting emotional yesterday, saying how he loved the city during his press conference last night on Monday, saying how he loved the city, he's going to miss it, this, that, and the other. But yeah, without him, we wouldn't have won the World Series. I will state that right now. Definitely.
And he was huge for the Phillies too in a World Series. So maybe people are thinking of it that way. You know, the Angels think they got World Series aspirations. That's a good way to sell Victorino. He's played well in the playoffs for World Series championship teams. Two of them now.
Yeah, he's got that playoff mentality, okay, and he has the playoff statistics that go with the mentality to show that he can play in the postseason. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does have some type of carve himself a role out there for a team that's fighting with the Astros, the surprising Houston Astros this year. In that division. And I remember me at the beginning of the year calling Seattle my sleeper team. Well, yeah, stupid me, I guess. But
no one thought the Astros.
I know, but Seattle's been absolutely horrible, just about as bad as our Boston Red Sox. But Victorino going over there now, I'm assuming, though, he will probably get the start. I mean, they have Calhoun and Mike Trout. I know that for sure in the outfield. And I think Matt Joyce and
Borges, is he out there for them?
No, I don't think
Peter
he is.
Borges? No, he might be a Cardinal now.
Yeah, so I think Victorino will probably be split in time or as a starter or be the starter if he's healthy. But, hey, the Red Sox suck. It's as simple as that. You hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the year. You said they were all these moves are terrible. I thought that the moves were terrible as well, but I thought they would sneak into the playoffs because the offense would be able to carry the pitching, but nobody's going to carry this pitching. We have Joe freaking Kelly, Rick Porcello, and Justin Masterson all having like their worst years ever. So no matter how good the offense would have been, it doesn't matter. This pitching staff is awful, atrocious.
And the offense hasn't been that great either anyways. No. I mean, it's been inconsistent.
Exactly.
At best.
Exactly.
I mean, David Ortiz has a monster day, supposedly because Pedro Martinez gets inducted to the Hall of Fame, but he hasn't really been great this year. Pedroia's been hurt off and on. I know he's been pretty good when he's played, but he hasn't played that much. And then you got Bogarts has been great. Betts has been pretty solid, and Brock Holt. And this is from the offensive standpoint. But otherwise, in Brock Holt, I don't even know if you can really say from an offensive standpoint he's been great or anything. He's he hasn't been bad.
Yeah, he's serviceable. He can play all these positions. He's our only all-star, which I laugh at every time because he is like the cheapest guy on our team, which is pathetic with the payroll that we have. But yeah, it's our two main signings have been atrocious. Hanley Ramirez, and who's been a disaster defensively in left field. His offensive statistics are they're pretty much what I expected. Sandoval has been awful when it comes. He's had his miscues defensively at third, and his offense has just been not good. So it hasn't. And Napoli. So when you have guys, we've been naming guys here, about 4 or 5 guys that not good, and then a pitching staff where guys that should just be released like Masterson and Kelly because they're that bad. Yes. Yeah, it's been a pretty bad season here for our Boston Red Sox, and not surprised Victorino gets traded. I mean, you hear Napoli's name, good. But who the heck wants Mike Napoli? And the guy's batting barely above 200. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see if the Red Sox are going to do anything crazy, or if they're just going to keep making a couple of minor moves here and there, like the Victorino guys that aren't going to be part of the future anyway. Does Yuri Hara have any type of trade value out there? I mean, he is making $15 million, so will the Red Sox have to eat some of that contract? They're out of it. We all know that. 3 out of the last 4 years, they're out of it now. Is anyone going to feel the heat? You can point the finger back to Sherrington. You can point it to Farrell. You can point it to the players. But if you think strong about the Boston Red Sox, you should always point the finger back to the management. The management runs this team. You are a puppet as the GM. Hence why Theo Epstein's not here anymore. Okay? So Ben Sherrington can come out and say everything. And I love how people ask him, oh, you in on the Pablo Sandoval signing? Oh, did you really want Hanley Ramirez? What the hell is Ben Sherrington going to say? Is he really going to say, oh, no, I don't want Hanley Ramirez or Pablo Sandoval? He's going to say that on the radio? Of course he's not going to admit that. Okay, you're never going to get him to admit that on the radio. So when people ask me that, I feel like I just want to jump through like the screen and strangle the person. Like, what kind of idiotic question is that? He's never going to admit that. You should know, as a listener, you should know as a Boston Red Sox fan, that management is the one making the decision. And I'm talking about Larry Lucchino, okay, ladies and gentlemen, the evil man. He's like the emperor. You can call the Yankees the emperor. He looks like the emperor from Star Wars. He really does. Lucchino is making the decision. He's making the shots. They care about the ratings. He wanted to get stupid panda hats. He wanted to bring the sexy name Ramirez back. So how much of this is going to fall back on Sherrington? I don't know. It might be another reason why you hear Lucchino and Henry come out saying that they support Sherrington. Gee, I wonder why. Because Sherrington probably didn't even make half the moves. You probably made half the moves, especially the major ones. All right, so when it comes back to blaming anybody, I always blame the players because the players need to perform. I blame the manager last, but for the Red Sox, instead of blaming the GM like any other team, I blame Lucchino and upper management.
Well, maybe that's fair. Maybe that's a fair way to go. I said earlier in the season that Sherrington was ultimately going to get fired because of the moves he made with Hanley and Pablo. I thought they were horrible moves from the beginning. Obviously, they're proving to be horrible moves. Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez, I'm reading this right now. Hanley second only to Sandoval in wins above replacement futility. So there you go. That whole WAR stat that they've come out with in the past decade or so.
I hate that WAR stat. That is such a crap stat.
Yeah, but it factors in everything that a player does, whether it be defense, offense, walking, striking out, all that kind of stuff. So it really does say a lot about what the player's value is to a team. And Pablo and Hanley, yes. Well, first off, Pablo's defense, that I wouldn't have expected. His defense has been good until he came to the Red Sox. So I don't know what happened there. Hanley, that was to be expected, the defensive thing. I would say, like I said before, Hanley can hit, but he needs to. The problem for Hanley is he gets these little minor ailments and is out, and he hasn't been that bad this year, but he still has had them. And when he does that, he throws off his rhythm.
He's like fine china, Droz. He really is.
Yeah, he's bad. The thing is, though, like if you watch him hit a fastball to the opposite field, I mean, he can smack. He's just got a sweet swing. So I'll give Hanley that. I gave him that on the last show. Hanley's good at hitting, but he's a bad player for your baseball team. Now, I don't know if there is any way in hell they can somehow convince some team to trade for Hanley Ramirez. I thought one of the best teams out there for a chance that might trade for Hanley was the Anaheim Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, because they can use him as a DH. Because I don't think anybody, especially after watching him play this year defensively, will sign him in the National League or would trade for him in the National League. They make you pay to give him to him, which maybe isn't a bad idea. But especially because the Red Sox don't care about throwing around money. But Hanley, to me, I would love to find, if they should be trying hand over fist, or whatever that saying is, to get Hanley Ramirez traded to some American League team that needs a DH and needs a hitter. Because Hanley is going to get paid too much, and it's only going to get worse from here. This is going to be his best season in Boston. It can only get worse because he's going to get more pouty. He's going to miss more games because he's going to get more comfortable. His first year, he still has that. It's like, you go into school. I don't know if anybody's like this, but for me, it always happened this way. The first, month of school, I'm always very, very motivated and want to do very well. And I do, homework to a T. I always did homework to a T and did well on tests and studied and did everything. But I would get bored after a while and everything would dip. Grades would dip. My performance at school would dip because it was old and I didn't care anymore. And I think for Hanley, it can last a little longer because you get a huge contract. But over time, he's going to be here in Boston. It's just going to get repetitive. It's going to get routine. And soon enough, it's not going to be new and fresh and exciting any longer. It's not going to appeal to his senses. And when that starts happening, that's when Hanley will not be playing in baseball games. And then Hanley is useless.
Yeah, I mean,
and so
back to your analogy that you used as a school, I mean, it's kind of accurate. I mean, me as a school. What's that?
I said pay to get rid of him.
I don't think it's going to happen, man. I would love to get rid of Hanley Ramirez. But, I mean, your point about that, the student, yeah, it's true. I mean, as a teacher, I see that on a yearly basis. Students come in, they're interested. They kind of flame out a little bit. That's the $1,000,000 question. How do you keep them interested? You got to have engaging lessons, this, that, and the other. But you can't really do that in baseball. It is what it is. And Hanley Ramirez is a designated hitter. He's a designated hitter in waiting. I don't think he even wants to play the field anymore. If they do make him play the field, there's only one position he can play at. Actually, two. Either you put him back at third and move Sandoval to first when Napoli leaves, and you go that direction. But him in left field is not going to work. All right. And if you end up keeping him, he's got to be the DH. Oh, wait, we have the best DH pretty much ever. And even though his numbers aren't that great when it comes average-wise, yeah, he had a great game the other day. But David Ortiz, for the 14th season in a row, has hit over 20 home runs, and he's probably going to get close to 30. So he's still clicking. You're not just going to throw Ortiz away. So next year, yeah, I would put him either at first or third. He is a Boston hero, yeah, but first or third for Hanley. Yeah, I agree, Josh. If you could somehow get somebody to take this junk, I would say go for it, but I don't think it's going to happen. He proved, like you said, you cannot have him on a National League team. He will never, ever, ever, ever play for a National League team until he retires from the game of baseball. It's just obvious, okay?
Exactly.
And if any team does, it's like, where are you going to put him? He's a risk no matter where he is in the field. Maybe he could play at third or first, but he can't play in the outfield. So I think he would fit as a DH on some team if you could somehow trade him away to a team that needs him. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I really don't. And it's only going to get worse. You're right. Like we both said, his injuries will pop up. This signing will suck. The Sandoval signing will suck. I'm just nervous to see if the Red Sox in this offseason are going to go crazy because they sucked again, another last place finish. What are they going to do now? Like, and what's the answer? Mookie Betts and Bogarts are only two players. This isn't like basketball where in basketball you have one or two players and you can bounce back. But baseball, you need a hell of a lot more than that.
Well, what's that guy, the outfielder in the minors, Manuel Margot or whatnot?
Yeah.
He's coming up there. They seem to love him. So You got him coming, Brian Johnson.
I don't get excited. I can't get excited. Prospects are prospects. You know it. Give me 5 young prospects and trade them away and get me the guy who's been a proven guy. That's how I work. Prospects flame out. We've seen it numerous times. Sometimes they work. Most of the times they don't. Just look at, Craig Hansen. You can even say Jackie Bradley Jr. There's so many guys. I can go on and on. If you look at the draft list, so many of them flame out compared to actually play. So if you want to trade away prospects, go for it. And I think the Red Sox should trade away either Vasquez or Swihart because you're not going to have both of those guys. You don't need both of those guys. You need one of them. They're both young. They both have proven that they can play in the major league. So if they could package a deal somehow with Vasquez, throw a young pitcher in there, throw Johnson.
No.
Yes, throw a young pitcher.
No,
yes.
Swihart goes, not Vasquez.
Okay, fine. I don't care which one. I'm saying put them together with the young pitcher, the young catcher, and throw Hanley in there and trade him for another prospect. And I don't even care. Just get rid of Ramirez, please.
Yeah, any way they can get rid of him. And like I think I said this earlier in the season, get rid of Swihart. I don't think his stats look that great. He's a catcher. They're too risky with injuries. I don't trust any catcher to stay healthy. So I think if you have catchers that people perceive to have value, trade them now, especially if they're young. Get rid of those catchers because the only one that I can think of that actually has lasted, and he almost didn't when he got ran over at the plate, is Buster Posey. But otherwise, in the recent years, name one. Joe Mauer went down. Victor Martinez had to leave being a catcher because he got hurt.
Oh, yeah, that's why they changed the rule now when you go into home plate. It all depends on what's going on at home plate because baseball understands, okay? Baseball understands that you can't have those guys up there or else they're going to keep running over them. And, Buster Posey, you're right. Buster Posey was one of the best catchers, and now I feel like he even plays first base every now and then, and it needs to happen. And he probably will end up being a first baseman sooner or later because guys don't last. They do not last at that position.
No. So what I say is you go at this point. Vasquez has been heralded or is talked about for his defense, and I would stick with that because people aren't going to value that quite as much, or they should, but I don't feel like they do because Swihart hasn't been thought of as much about his defense as Vasquez. I know Vasquez is hurt, but I would hold with Vasquez. The pitchers seem to like Vasquez a lot, feel comfortable with Vasquez, and in only a short period of time. So that's the one I stick with because knowing that they could both get hurt. And knowing that one of them is probably going to be in there being the catcher. For gosh sakes, right now they got Buffalo Bill Ryan Hannigan in there, and he's been doing fine. He's been doing better than anybody else, at least as playing the position of catcher. So I say trade Swihart if he still has value, because I know he hasn't done too much from a hitting standpoint in Boston. And then, package him together. Now, Brian Johnson, I feel bad for Brian Johnson because he got called up before the All-Star break, put in the bullpen, and then they were supposed to start him on the following Saturday, and they didn't even start him. He had like 15 days in between starts, and then he came up and he got hammered by, I believe, the Astros. So that I think is an anomaly, and Brian Johnson got a raw deal right there. So I think you still got something possibly with him coming up. Eduardo Rodriguez got back on track. I see... I still like some of the pitching, but the best thing that could possibly happen is somehow you could trade for some guy that's coming up on a younger player who's a hitter, but it's in a smaller market where they can't afford the player, and you then go in, try to make a trade for him because they know they're not going to be able to sign him, like Oakland would do, or like the Rays would do with like Will Myers. I know he hasn't been that great. But, teams like that, try to find those teams in the smaller markets and trade with them for a player who's already proven himself, but they're not going to be able to afford to sign. That's what the Red Sox should be looking for. Any targets, every target they can find, that's what they should be targeting.
And I'm going to bring it up. I don't even care. My boy, Clay Buchholz.
Oh.
What else is new? Here we go again with Clay Buchholz. Comes out of a start, elbow strain, turn into an injection, and now he's going to be out. And out. This is Clay Buchholz. He will not pitch another game the rest of the year. This is who he is. This is who he always will be. 6 years in a row, and then on the disabled list before the All-Star break. I don't care what his numbers are this year. Just like when he was in the All-Star game and he went 12-1, the guy needs to go. I hate this guy. He is not someone you can rely on. He will never be what they thought they were, which is a 1 or a 2. He has a ceiling of a 3. Get rid of him. I don't even care if he's under control for the next few years, because he is. We have team options for 14, 15 million, which on paper sound good, but I don't care. He can never last a year. He never can, Droz. I am so sick of him. You know how much I love him. And I'm not surprised this has happened. Okay, I'm not surprised. Look, I told my friend the other day that, what's his Buchholz injury? It's going to turn into like a month or so. Oh, no, it turned into 6 weeks. That's almost 2 months.
Well, he's on the 60-day DL now.
Gone.
So
he's done. He's probably done. Why pitch him? He's not going to come back. Guaranteed.
There's no point in pitching him. But who in the hell is going to take Clay Buchholz? Is another Hanley Ramirez situation here. It's not as bad with Buchholz, because at least Buchholz has been here the entire time, so it's not like they went off and signed him. It is bad.
They both suck, Droz. They both suck. They're both they're not reliable. I don't like either of them. You don't like either of them. How can you like either of these guys? They're not reliable people. It's like anybody, no matter where you work. You could work as a garbage man. You could work as a manager. You could work as a teacher. You could work as a mailman. You could work at Stop and Shop. If you are not a reliable person as the person with the job, okay, how could you like that person? How could you like that type of worker if you're not reliable? If you keep calling in or keep calling in sick or not doing your job, how can you like them? I don't care if you come in and you do your job great. If you keep calling out, if you're not there all the time, I can't stand you. So that's how my view is on these two schmoes.
Yeah, no, hey, look, that's the name of the game. I mean, if you're not on the field, if you're not playing, it doesn't matter how good you are when you are out there, because if you're just not out there, you got to play the game to have any stats or to have any impact on it. And Clay Buchholz doesn't play the game. Now, that being said, I still think Buchholz can pitch, but he just doesn't pitch, as in he doesn't get on the field. And that is a fair assertion and a great reason why you do not give him any kind of contract extension or contract in general. And I don't see why any team, the only team I could see possibly even looking for him is the Cardinals, because John Lackey is over there now, and that's his bun buddy right there, Clay Buchholz's. And I could see Buchholz, maybe the Cardinals, because somehow they have like the fountain of youth or something over there in the water, that no matter what the Cardinals do, every player ends up playing well when they go to St. Louis. I remember John Smoltz being a Red Sox pitcher, and he was horrible for the Red Sox. And Smoltz is a great player, get inducted to the Hall of Fame, whatnot. But it was horrible for the Red Sox. Instantly goes to the Cardinals and is great. Yeah. So they just go to maybe he should go to the Cardinals. Maybe that's the remedy for Buchholz. But the remedy is not here in Boston. So yes, good riddance to you, Clay Buchholz. Completely with you. Yeah,
I mean, I totally agree. Buchholz just sums up this team. Very, very frustrating, very, very inconsistent. It has its up. This team has had its more downs than ups. They did do a little mini run before the All-Star break, where if they beat the Yankees that night, they would have made it to 4, but it doesn't matter because they went on the road trip and they lost 9 in a row. They're cooked in another summer, and I'm not interested anymore. It's hard to watch. I'll watch every now and then, but it really is the time to see whether or not these guys, the young guys, can play. So play the young guys and get rid of the Napolis, get rid of the Victorinos, in my opinion.
Hence all the football talk. Boring Red Sox. Horrible season. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in to another edition of the Boston Sports Brew. We'll be back next week with some more. Hopefully Tom Brady gets to court and something happens, and they say they will hear his case.
Yeah, I think this court thing's going to take a while, though, Droz, unfortunately. So
Roger Cossack seems to think that it's going to happen quick because they're going to want to find out before the season starts. So I don't know. That's what I've heard. That's all I've heard so far. I haven't been able to hear enough yet to actually have a great opinion.
Hey, I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping.
Yes, but for Mattious, I'm Droz. Once again, actually, check out Facebook, check out Twitter, at BOS Sports Brew, at BOS Sports Brew. We'll be back next week. Thank you again for listening to another edition of the Boston Sports Brew.